What's going on, team, and welcome back along to your home of rugby. Now, today we've got a little bit of something different for you all out there. As after the Rugby World Cup, where I did a lot of matches of the actual games as they were happening as well, and did a lot of AI versus AI matchups to ultimately let the game decide as to who would win these matches before they actually happen. Now, I got a lot of comments from those videos asking how I got those teams to play so lifelike. It's best they've probably seen on a rugby game, which is normally fairly realistic, especially on the offloading frenzy that is Rugby Challenge 3. So I thought, what better way than answering everyone's comments individually than to make a nice little video where I give you guys an update and show you guys what exact sliders I have been using for the games during the Rugby World Cup. So let's get straight into it. It won't be a hugely long video today, just be a little update, show you guys what settings I use for the sliders, and of course go on from there. Okay, so all this top stuff doesn't really make a licking difference to anything. It's really the stuff further down that you guys are wanting to see. So hopefully we can fit that all in. We can. All in on the one page, and you can quickly see there's one glaringly obvious omission, I guess, in these slider settings that I use that probably no one else really does go with. So we'll get to that in a second. But at the top, injury frequency, I've got that just, 2 nicks up. Although I do have injuries off at the moment because really we stay with the starting 15s from the World Cup. But normally injuries will be on, and you get the odd one now and then. You don't want them too frequent, especially if you play a Pro series, because your pro's going to be injured all the damn time, and that's just really not helpful at all. Now, moving on from that, because injuries isn't really a big factor, high tackle frequency. Now, unfortunately, in Rugby Challenge 3, there's really only 2 ways to get a penalty. Either not releasing or getting the breakdown first and forcing the penalty by the attacker not releasing the ball, a ruck turnover, a ruck penalty, if you will. That's one way, and the other is, of course, the high tackles. Now, you can easily go through 10 games in a row and have no ruck penalties whatsoever, but if you put up this little sucker, you can get a good little nudge of high tackles in the game, which results in penalty shots at goal. Now, of course, the poor thing about Rugby Challenge is you often get games that are 21-14 and 28-35, and which is all well and good and entertaining, but real rugby has penalties. So I'm still yet to find a nice little medium here, because you'll get one game where you'll have 4 high tackle penalties, and the next one you've got none. So it's a bit inconsistent, but I guess rugby is a bit like that in the real world as well. So I tend to have that fairly high for what it is, and that may be why you notice on some videos we have a lot of high tackles sometimes, and then none the next time after that. So I like to have that high, I like to have that giving penalty, so yeah, that point of difference, that 3 points, is always making the game a little bit more exciting. Moving on from that, intercept frequency. Boy, I'd love to see more intercepts in Rugby Challenge 3. I've got this really high because it doesn't happen very often, and generally if it does, you get squashed straight away. I would love to be able to see more big runaway intercept tries on the game, which is why I've got that quite high. And after the testing we've done of making it from probably starting off way down here by default intercept frequency, I've slowly been moving it up each couple of games, and it's made its way all the way pretty much to being maximum. And you never know, by the time another 6 months of rugby goes through, maybe that will be maximum. Who really knows? But I love seeing an intercept, so I really would like to get that as high as possible. Okay, now let's talk about the elephant in the room here. Offloads. These 3, offload chance, offload frequency, and offload success rate, are the main reason why I think people enjoy watching the way that my game plays more than it does by default, because Rugby Challenge is a terrible game for the rubbish, unrealistic, no chance in hell of it ever happening in real life offloads. A guy's near on the ground, the ball squirts up, it's offload, offload, offload all the time. That doesn't sit well with me. I don't like the unrealistic, and that is why all 3 of these are at a minimum. Very rarely do you get an offload in the game, and it is all nice, passing before the defender, and the odd time you'll get a little bit of a risker who will go out of his way to make it happen. But generally, and this is what I like about it, is you get passes before the tackle, and that just looks so much lifelike to the real game. So that is why these are all right down minimum. You can't go any lower on these 3 levels. So make sure, if you want a similar way to what mine plays, that you put all those 3 on 0, because that is the best way to do it, and you've got to have that low, or else you get the unrealistic. I mean, when you're playing an AI versus AI game, they just go nuts, especially in the latter part of the game when the AI wants to make something happen and score that extra try, and they do really go crazy. It makes it hard to commentate, it makes it hard to play, and it makes it hard to watch as well. So I've gone all minimum on those 3, and I think that is the big reason why the game plays as well as it does. Pass success rate, fairly good. I mean, the fact that these 3 are down, you've got to give the guys benefit of the doubt. They're going to be passing a lot earlier, so I've got that just over halfway. Break tackle ability, very rarely you see too much domination. The fend works fairly well, but you never see a blockbusting guy go through a whole squad of players with it down this sort of level. So I quite like that how it is. It's a good ability, you can make it work, but ultimately, if you're in a crowd of players, you're never going to get out of that crowd of players. When you're one-on-one, that's when something can happen. Tackle ability, again, similar sort of thing. When we're talking about professional rugby players, top level, you generally want to have fairly good looking tackles. And that is why 9 times out of 10, and by the look of that graph, you'd say 6 times out of 10 probably, the tackle is going to be made. So not too many missed tackles. Again, you're not going to see guys just rumbling on through, sliding out of 1 tackle, 2 tackles, 3 tackles, like you would when this is low, or the game is on very easy difficulty where tackles certainly may as well not even be an option. Ruck tackle bonus, I like this high because this rewards the team taking the ball into the tackle. If you've got this low, ruck turnovers happen all the time. You've got constant ruck turnovers all over the place. I like this one high because if you get the ball in and you get some guys there and you're at least on par with the defensive side, you're going to hang on to your ball. If you're slow there and they get a man there fast, they get a bit of incentive there quickly, they can easily turn the ball over. But generally, if you look after the ball, if you have players around that can get to the rucks quickly, you're always going to retain your own ball. And I think that's really something to be rewarded, is ball retention, and just getting the ball turned over straight away, just because they got 2 guys there faster than you got 3, isn't very realistic. As always is with the real game, it is the attacking team that has the advantage generally in the breakdown. You've only probably got a handful of players defensively who can do the unthinkable for the ruck turnovers, especially if a tackle's already been called. So that's why I like that high. It creates phases and it creates consistent pressure as well going through the rest of the game. Attacking urgency, this is really important one. I think these 2 at the bottom are important if you play AI versus AI games like I do, because I don't want to see a 6-3 scoreline or a 7-0 scoreline. That is not fun, that is not exciting, that is fairly boring, to be completely honest. So attacking urgency is up, so that means the AI go hell for leather to score tries. No matter what the risks, they go all out. It is maxed. Attacking is number 1 priority. Defensively, however, it's quite low because you obviously want the AI teams to be scoring tries. And I mean, if this isn't high and this is too good for them, you're going to see low scoring games. Ultimately, my goal and objective for the AI versus AI matches was having tries, having 30, 40, 50 points in a match, having exciting games, try-scoring games, really good rugby like that. So that's why, effectively, defensive urgency is really low, just because I don't want defensive ability to dominate the game. I want the attacking, the highly entertaining rugby to shine through. We want to see points on the board, and we want to see excitement. So that is why that is maxed, and that one is only about a quarter of the way up. If you want to see more points, more tries, drop it down another couple at the bottom there as well. But overall, that is my slider settings for Rugby Challenge 3. Now, what I'm interested in here is what you guys think, what you guys play on, and if you do anything a little bit differently and think that you have a really, really good slider setting on your game, do let us know in the comments below what things you change, what you've got different, that allows your game to play a little bit differently, or the way you like it to be played as well. So let me know in the comments below what you guys think of that, and of course what you think about these settings. If you like how it plays or not, give it a try and see how it goes. But currently, as we stand from the Rugby World Cup, if you've watched any of those videos, this is the slider settings that I've played on. If I'm going to tweak anything, I might take that down to maybe a point or two, but I did like the amount of points we did get. Even the thrashing games were a decent 40-50 point margins, and the close games were still 20s to 30s on each side. So it was a good little, I think, a good little separation between the sides. But I do think I love a good intercept, and I'm going to chuck that one right to the top, and hopefully you might see some cool intercept tries happening in the future. But that is it for my slider settings on Rugby Challenge 3. Let me know what your thoughts are on that, of course, as we just talked about, and I will see you all very, very soon for plenty more content on rugby, on gaming, and of all sorts of things you are used to seeing here on the channel. Until then, though, thanks for watching, and as per always, take care.